Well, welcome to Tejano Virtual Events. We have a great presentation for you today. Today we have EPCC District-Wide Counselor Coordinator Oscar Velasquez. And so for attending today's workshop, you are going to have the opportunity to earn Tejano passport points. And so during this workshop, I'm going to be putting that code for the points today in the chat box. And so I'll share more about this program after our workshop. So please get comfortable, mute your mics, and if you have any questions, raise your hand or place the questions in the chat box. And then I will go ahead and be putting that link for Tejano Points in the chat box later on during the workshop. So Mr. Velasquez, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Well, thank you very much, Kristen. It is always a pleasure to be in front of faculty, students, and staff. I love doing presentations and I like sharing my knowledge on EPCC degrees and pathways. It's pretty important to have this session and that everybody is very versed in what we offer here at El Paso Community College. So that is why I chose my topic as the insight of what we offer here, the world of degree pathways. Like Kristen said, my name is Oscar R. Velasquez. I'm the district-wide counselor coordinator. I've been a coordinator for about 14 years. And I'm also currently coordinating Northwest Campus where I'm housed at. I've been dealing a lot with degree pathways, and I want to share my insight and all the insights that we have here at EPCC so that, like, once again, I said, everybody needs to be versed because there is a big difference, people. I'm an advisor, I'm a counselor. I've been here since 2001. And a lot of people are confused about what they can do and what they can share. So let me give you an insight right now at this moment before we even start. There's two ways of looking at this. There's academic advising for academic information and advising for educational purposes. So when I show you all this presentation, you're going to be able to do advising for information, not advising for academics, okay? So that's the big difference, people. Advising for information. You can give students, you can give anybody in the community, you can give any information as far as what I'm going to share right now to students. But when it comes down to advisement, then that's where the counseling department takes over. So that's where we do the academic advising, okay? So hopefully you enjoy it. I only have 50 minutes. I'm going to compress it into 50 minutes because usually it takes me about 4 hours. So I'm going to give you a crash course in what we offer and what we do here at EPCC. So let's go with the first slide. And basically the outline of the first slide is going to contain what counseling provides, the areas of study, the degree pathways, some of the specialized programs, and some closure and some questions if you want to ask. Why is this important? A lot of times students have no idea, as well as faculty and staff, what the counseling department does. So I'm going to give you a little overview of the counseling department. The 8 areas of study that have been in place for several years now, I want to say a decade or so. They were called meta majors back then, back in the time, but we switched the name because it's primarily for students, for student purposes, just because meta major sounded a little bit kind of weird, right? So when you ask a student, what is your meta major? What area of study are you looking at? That is a little bit more a smoother transition to be able to extract what students are trying to major in. So areas of study is what we go with right now. We're talking a little bit about the degree pathways, some specialized programs that we have here at the college, and then a little bit of some closure and some question sessions, okay? So is everybody ready to roll? Yes? Raise your hands, some of you? Very good. All right, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, sounds good. All right, so let's go on with what counseling provides. Why is this important? This is important, people, because knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you're going to be able to help students, faculty, and staff, okay? Now, I'm old school. So when I do advising, when I talk to people, I want to get them the best information possible. that best information possible is within you, especially here if you work in El Paso Community College. Now, when students come into my office, I have no idea what they want. You know, most of you that work in student services or you deal with students, it's important for you to know a little bit about everything, right? Because knowledge is power. If you know a little bit about everything, you're well-rounded in whatever we offer here at EPCC. And not even here just at EPCC, but outside of EPCC, you're going to be able to help students, quite frankly, right from the get-go. Because like I said, when students come into my counseling office or my counseling department, I have no idea what they're searching for, what they're wanting. So I always have to be prepared in what area of excuse me, of what they're wanting to seek. I really have to kind of understand them and what they want. So it's important for you to kind of research some of the departments here at EPCC, especially counseling. We deal with a lot of areas within counseling. We've got dual credit early college counselors. We've got first year experience counselors, and we've got general counseling. And most of the advisors in counseling are very versed in all of the majors that I'm going to be talking to you about. But this is why it's important to have this power and this knowledge so that maybe you have not seen what we offer. Maybe you have not learned what we provide here at EPCC. But I think this overview is going to provide you that knowledge so that you can be powerful in you have the toolkit so that you can help students when they come into your office. And remember, keep in mind, we're not advising for educational purposes. We're advising for information. That's extremely important. And I apologize for my little coughing. I was a little bit under the weather yesterday, but I'm kind of recovering. All right, people. So what is counseling about? A small little overview of counseling. So the whole entire counseling department has 5 campuses. Well, actually, it's got 6 campuses. We've got that secret campus that just opened at Fort Bliss. Okay, so we have 6 areas, 6 counseling departments all over the district that deal with academic advisement. So one of the main areas that we deal with in counseling is goal setting. What is it that students want when they come here? Well, their main goal is to get a degree and graduate, either to go work or either to move on for a bachelor's or either to just retain that degree for other purposes. A lot of students that come in from the military area just want that degree because they weren't able to accomplish that degree in the military. But our goal here in counseling is career guidance, pathway information, degree planning, and transfer information. Extremely important because people, this is our bread and butter. Why is it our bread and butter? Because students come in for degrees, for certificates, right? So we've got to provide that to the best of our ability. So that knowledge that I'm sharing with you, you can share that with students. You can talk to students about careers. You can talk to them about pathways. You can talk to them about where they're transferring to. I'm pretty sure if you work with student services or if you work in that capacity, maybe a librarian, maybe other individuals that work directly with students, actually have that power to provide that academic information, that advising for information, people. Okay, so don't be afraid. If somebody comes in, you're walking, I'm always bumping into students outside and inside and outside of EPC saying, Mr. Velasquez, I saw you at the counseling. What do you think of me transferring here? Blah, blah, blah. Go for it. I provide that information, and you should be able to provide that really basic information on what we offer here as far as career and degrees. Because really, the conversation starts when the student approaches you, people. So you don't want to be that person that says, no, I really don't know. And if you really don't know, of course, you're going to transfer or you're going to refer that student. I've gotten thousands of referrals throughout my tenure here of students wanting to come and talk to me about degrees. And that's fine, but at least you have that contact information. And I'm going to also provide a listing of all the counselors and advisors district-wide so you can have it. So the next category that we talk about is academic advising. So we do TSI placements, as you all know. We've got test assessments that we do. We do the TSI reading, writing, and in math. So we actually have the students come in and we actually talk to them about their degree and their degree pathways with taking into consideration their TSI placements. We also do that. We do the course recommendations, and then of course, we clear them. Most of you might not know, and most of the time, students that are coming in might have these issues pertaining to, I've got a hold. Well, people, and I'm pretty sure you've heard this before. Students call in or email you and say, I've got a hold. And then you refer them and say, you might have to talk to a counselor. Why? Because they've got a TSI hold. That's 90% of the students that we have here, people. It's the clearance. It's that registration clearance it's mandated by the state to have a TSI hold if they have not passed one of the 3 areas in the TSI, reading, writing, and math, okay? So we actually do all of the academic advising at that point. It's really important that you really refer the students to counseling, to any of our 5 campuses, so that they can have that tailored advising session with the counselor and advisor. Because right now, I don't know how much you know about what we're doing in advising. We actually have now the DegreeWorks audit that we have built in, that we use a lot. And some of you might have access. I see some of the faculty that are here and some of the staff that might have access to DegreeWorks, in which you run DegreeWorks audit. Now, if you're running those audits, you might be venturing a little bit on the advising for educational purposes, right? But still, students can go in on their own and run that that DegreeWorks audit for themselves, and that's fine. But if they do have questions within that degree audit, then you would have to kind of refer that student to the advising centers, the counseling departments. So academic advising, very important. And people, if you have questions, if you have anything in the chat, please, by all means, I can stop. I like stopping and addressing some of the issues or some of the questions that you might have, okay? All right, so again, number 3, special populations and programs. So within counseling, we have our first year experience. For the most part, first year experience advisors and counselors take care of the student the first 2 semesters, but now we have soon implemented a new change. They will take care of the students within 30 credits, okay? And that's pretty important, because what we've been seeing, people, is that students are coming in having probationary statuses on their academic status. They're having probationary statuses. They're having suspension statuses within their second semester, thus having no credits whatsoever. So in reality, if you think about it, people, it's very important for students to kind of move through the academic advising process with good standing statuses, and not with academic probation and academic suspension statuses, which we really came down to the point in saying, well, these students are kind of still new in the system because they still haven't passed any of the courses or they haven't gotten any credit. So thus making them probably new students, they've already kind of been in the system, walked around the campuses and so forth, but academically they haven't progressed at all. So that is why that milestone of 30 credits needs to be accomplished, so that they can make that proper referral to the counseling department. So let me go back and make myself clear. So FYE, first year experience, counselors and advisors will see them up to the 30 credits, and then they will transition them to us within the 30 credits or so that we can finish off and graduate them within 30 to 60 credits, okay? So that's our first year experience centers, and they're all across the district as well. We also offer CSD, students with disabilities as well. We've got 5 amazing counselors district-wide, all of them located in the different counseling departments. You can deal with students with special needs and disabilities. Okay, and I will keep in mind, I will provide that listing to you all, and I'll upload it as well. The fourth one, we also help with crisis intervention. The counseling department, and as you all know, we all have now EPCC Cares, our therapeutic area, which is completely different than the counseling department. Okay, so all of the counseling departments have master level counselors, people that can assist with any crisis intervention, any grief intervention, anything that's very minimal, within 2 to 3 sessions. Okay, so we can see students within 2 to 3 sessions if they have issues dealing with crisis and things that are not escalating to the point that we need to refer to our EPCC Cares team. So that in itself, people, is pretty important. And let me just stop there and clarify this a little bit further. Now, all of you that are working in the different areas in different capacities have the ability to help students. Okay. Now, remember I was telling you about advising for information and advising for academics. Same thing goes with crisis intervention. If there's a crisis going on in your area, you can take care of the crisis. Okay. You can either call the police, you can call one of the CARES team members, and you can call the 2 areas that I'm about to mention that can help you. One of them is the BIT team, which is the Behavioral Intervention Team. That team deals with a lot of behavioral issues. I work at the Northwest Campus, and some of you that are logged in the Northwest Campus, we've had some issues with behaviors here with students, so you can understand what I'm talking about. But you can actually contact the BIT team, or if there's a crisis that we just had here at Northwest, a crisis, one of our early college students passed a couple of days ago, so we had a crisis here. So we called in the CERT team, which is the critical response team here with us, critical incident response team. So they came in, they did a debriefing for the classes that needed it here at Northwest, and so forth. So bottom line, people, when students are in crisis, you are the one. If you are there, you're the first one to respond. You can respond. Okay, don't be afraid. As a matter of fact, respond as soon as possible. And if so, you can contact either, like I said, the counseling department, you can contact the EPCC Cares team, or anybody that can help you further along with that student. But we do take care of crisis intervention issues here in the counseling department. As well, we provide community referrals, and then we also advise and provide a lot of the prerequisite/co-requisite course loads that students have. All right, a lot of information. Of course, we've got our social media, EPCC Counseling, EPCC First Year. We've got Instagram as well. Questions on the 4th slide, people? Moving right along. Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's get into the bread and butter, people, okay? So kudos to Ms. Loralee Ambris, the creator of this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful slide. We had a little bit of a vision when we were doing OCB back in the day, about 2-3 years ago, on how we could kind of provide the student with this, with something that they could remember what we offer here at EPCC. And I apologize, it's a little kind of dark and blurry. I couldn't get the lighting kind of quite right on it, but we've kind of started saying, well, OCB, because we only had about 10 minutes with each student. What we did was Operation College Bound. If you don't know about Operation College Bound, really quickly, we would go to the high schools, advise them, provide them registration and so forth within 5-10 minutes. So we kind of created this area that students would look at within 2 to 3 minutes, those areas of study, and kind of decide right there and then what they were kind of going into. Now, this does not take away from doing a complete career assessment or anything like that. But considering the fact that we were so low on time and students needed to go on their way as far as getting advised and registered, we came out with this form. and this has been wonders. This flyer has been amazing, and I'm just waiting for the newest one to distribute, and I think it's in the works and almost ready to come out. But people, 8 areas of study, extremely important. These areas of study everybody should know. Okay, now keep in mind, advising for information, advising for academics. So if students come in, have no clue, and let me go back even further back in the day. So as students come in, if you know, as students come in, as they want to be students here at EPCC, they've got to go through the Apply Texas portal. So that Apply Texas portal, you've got to do an application, and then that Apply Texas application comes down to EPCC, and then we look at it, and then we screen it, and then we admit the student. That's basically how we do business here at EPCC. So what I found out years ago, and some of you that know me very well might know that I sound like a broken record, but guess what? When students were applying through Apply Texas, well, they weren't really specific on what degree they wanted to take here at EPCC, because a lot of times they were applying when they were freshmen, sophomore, juniors in early college and dual credit and so forth. So they really didn't have an idea. So when they would apply, guess what? Most of them applied and stated that they wanted to just do our core curriculum. And most of you probably know those courses better as their basics. So they would put an Associate of Arts degree in multidisciplinary studies. Well, that's kind of like the general degree that we have here, people. And you all know that. But we created these pathways back in the day. I want to say about 10, 12 years ago. I want to say 12 years ago, because I was in the planning committee at that point. So we wanted to kind of guide the students better, and not for them just to say Associate of Arts in Multidisciplinary Studies, which quite frankly, that really is nothing. It's just the core curriculum, which is the 42 credits plus 18 credit hours of whatever you choose with Texas symbols that would transfer. So as we started thinking about this more and more, the meta majors came into play, and then the area of study came into play, which was pretty important for the college because we wanted to streamline students to degrees. We just didn't want the Associate of Arts in Multidisciplinary, which we still have that. But little by little, we're streaming students into the right pathways. Now, this flyer is important because this flyer kind of tells students what areas they would be interested. And these 8 areas of the study that I'm about to talk about kind of gives that student that ability to choose that area of study without choosing a degree. Now, by all means, if students are ready, set, well, they can go, right? So this provides that guideline for students to be able to make that appropriate area of study choice and look at those degree plans and degree pathways within those areas of study, which is extremely important, people, because sometimes students are all over the place. So you really want to narrow it down to a couple of areas of study. Usually in my experience, they have 2 or 3, no more than 3 areas of study that they're looking into. So the 8 areas of study: arts, humanities, and communication. So if you look at the arts and humanity and communication, you can pretty much tell what we offer. And I know you can't really tell much about that because it's a little blurry, but you can see all of the courses, all of the pathways that we see, that we look at in there. Let's move into the business one. We can probably see a little bit more of the business one. The business one, business, accounting, business, and economics. Some of the areas that we have that are Associate of Arts, Associate of Applied Science, and some of the certificates that I'm going to get into after you see this flyer. And people, I will send this flyer to you in case that you can't really see it. And I know that you really can't see it because I can't see it. It's a little blurry. But I will send it to you so you can have it. And as a matter of fact, maybe in a couple of weeks after spring break, we'll have the new one that I can send you. But you can look at some of it. and make a little bit of it as you're seeing the pathways. So let's look at the education area of study, category 3. So in education, you have the child development, you have the early child, infant, toddler, and the teaching assistant. So those 4 areas comprise the educational area. Now, on the top kind of right-hand box is a blue box. The agenda for the program awards is there, and I'm going to go into it in a couple of minutes. But you can look at the 5 to 6 areas that we have as far as the awards. The first one talks about the Associate of Applied Science, the Associate of Arts, the Associate of Teaching, the Associate of Science, the Certificate of Completion, and some of the continuing education programs. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to incorporate all of the degrees, certificates that we offer. In the prior flyer, because this is kind of like the second version of this flyer, the third version almost, we had only the Associate of Arts and Associate of Applied Science degrees in the actual flyer, which was only the credit-bearing pathways. But we soon decided that, you know what, some of the credit-bearing are under continuing education. So we decided to add those in continuing ed. And thank you once again, like I said, Laurelie and Curriculum for updating this flyer and providing and creating this flyer as well. So let's look at category 4. I'm just giving you a little overview of all the categories so you can kind of be versed in some of these areas. So health science. So health science is kind of one of our bread and butters here at EPCC. The campus that houses health occupations is the Rio Grande campus. Also, we have Mission del Paso that provides a little bit of less than a quarter of the degrees as well. But if you look at the health science, many of the majors are there in health science, from administrative medical assistant all the way to surgical technology and vocational nursing. So if you look at all these degrees, you'll find that many of them will be at the Rio Grande campus. We offer EMT at Mission del Paso as well, and vocational nursing over there. So, like I said, many of the students that are coming in, the pathway in health occupations can be a little tricky, and I'll tell you a little bit about the difference between the AA and the AAS degrees in the couple of slides from now, so that you can kind of understand the relevance of how you can start advising for information with students. And I think this is pretty crucial. I think everybody at EPCC should know our degrees and the pathways that we offer, because it can be confusing people. I can tell you it can be confusing. So moving right along, this whole area that I'm going to talk about right now, the 5th category, has kind of been neglected in a way. I don't want to say neglected. I know I'm being recorded, so nothing negative, nothing intended for that, for any of those purposes. But our industrial manufacturing and construction, which is kind of known as the ATC, a lot of people do not know people about this. Folks, you have no idea when they come and tell me, say, I didn't know you offered robotics. Of course we offer robotics. But many of what I call the Fab 4 or the Fantastic 4, the Fab 5, are the ones that students are really familiar with, right? So like HVAC, welding, right? A lot of times people that are wanting to get into the ATC will mention some of those areas that are pretty much known: diesel, right? Automotive, all of the ones that are kind of common. But those are just 5 out of the 35 that we have in industrial manufacturing and construction, which is pretty important because the industrial manufacturing and construction area is booming, people. I just saw an article in which Associate of Applied Science degrees are the top degrees that students are seeking, because they're very quick and high paying. And you all know, some of you know, that have people in welding. If you get a welding degree and you go to Odessa or Midland, the oil fields, people, you're getting like $100 an hour, okay? And that's like lowball. So some of these industrial manufacturing degrees are pretty important. I think I saw a question, if I'm not mistaken, or a comment from Adrian. Okay, what are pathways? The degrees offered under the areas of study like accounting under business. That's correct. That is absolutely right, Adrian. Yes, the pathways are under the degree of the 8 areas of study. Yes. Very good. So let's go to category C. So industrial manufacturing and construction, pretty important. Area of study number 6, public service. So public service, I have no idea why it was blanked out like that, but public service has law enforcement, fire technology, and all those areas in public service. I apologize for that. For some reason, I uploaded it and it uploaded like that. But I can show you a little bit more in a couple of more minutes. Number 7, science, technology, engineering, and math, which is the STEM. Okay, people? So everything from architecture to psychology and physics. Anything that you can think of STEM, science, technology, and engineering is going to be in this area. Okay, now some of you might know these better as the hard sciences. Absolutely, hard sciences, chemistries, physics, geology, any of those areas are going to be in the STEM category, area of study number 7. Okay, and then the last category we have social and behavior sciences, and those are a mixture of AA and AASs, which is the social work, the psychology, the sign language interpreting that is offered here at EPCC. All right, so questions on this wonderful flyer. Well, I mean, it uploaded a little bit funky, but it is, once you see it face to face, it is an amazing document. All right, people, so you might be thinking, well, what is the difference between an Associate of Arts, Associate of Applied Science, and certificates and so forth? Well, crash course, people. All right, so think of an Associate of Arts. An Associate of Arts is our transferable degree. That's basically what you need to know. The semantics of transferability and applicability is different. All right, so most of the Associate of Arts degree will transfer, and those degree pathways are the degree pathways that have the core curriculum. Just remember that. Associate of Arts have core curriculum. Those 42 credits within the degree, within the pathway, like English, like histories, like psychology. Those are the core curriculum within the Associate of Arts. And of course, they have the 18 areas, 18 credit hours in the areas of study. Now, those areas of study are pretty important because that is what's going to make the degree and the pathway the choice of that particular student. For example, if the Associate of Art is in psychology, the core curriculum, people, is going to stay the same. Sometimes it's going to vary depending on the degree, but for the most part, government, history, and all that will stay the same. The only thing that's going to change is the 18 credit hours that they need to fulfill to be able to graduate in that particular discipline, people. Very important to understand that. Associate of Arts, transferability, 18 credit hours of the areas of study. If it's psychology, guess what? They're all going to be psychology. Okay? If it's art, guess what? They're all going to be art. In some occasions, it might vary. Okay? So Associate of Arts, for example, in psychology. Associate of Arts in art. That's the degree pathway that Adrian was mentioning. Now, don't get me wrong, most of our students are thinking about it the first or second year, which we want them to think about it, but not take very long in deciding, because if they take long to decide, then the advising gets a little trickier, starts getting a little trickier, just because they've taken some other courses, whether they be exploratory courses, personal courses that they're taking that might further them getting their degree in whatever they're trying to pursue their degree, if I'm making sense. Because the further they don't decide, the further it's going to take them to graduate, which is what we want. We want them to get in and out within 2 to 3 years. People, this is a community college. We want them to get their degree within 2 to 3 years and move on. Okay? We want them to be a super sophomore and not a super senior, in which they take 4, 5, 6 years to graduate. The degree is only 2 to 3 years. So the Associate of Art is that degree, okay? Is that degree that provides them that 2 to 3 years to move on. Associate of Arts in Teaching, same thing, but it's focused on teaching. 60 credit hours, transfers to the university. Same thing with Associate of Science, but this is what I was telling you about, the STEM area, the hard sciences, okay? Same thing, transfer, Associate of Science, chemistries, biologies, and physics. Moving right along, people, this is where I want you to kind of understand the difference between the Associate of Arts and this one, which is the Associate of Applied Science. Two major categories in the Associate of Applied Sciences. Associate of Applied Sciences are those degrees that you seek immediate employment. You finish the degree and you go out there and work immediately, okay? So there's two major areas, health and non-health. The health ones, nursing, dental hygiene, everything that has category 5, which is the health science area. That's the health one. The Associate of Applied Science in non-health is typically those that have nothing to do with health. Like, for example, fire technology, criminal justice, IT, computer courses, cybersecurity, all of the degrees and all those pathways that are within the non-health area, okay? Now, very different Associate of Applied Science than Associate of Arts. The Associate of Applied Science does not have a core 42-hour credit limit, okay? And what that means is that they might have less than 30 credit hour limit core courses in their degrees. For example, they might have English, they might have a speech, they might have a math, they might have another core course within the degree, which is usually less than 15 to 30 credits in their degree. Now, people, these degrees, there's a lot of confusion because most people in the past, and I've heard it so many times, and I keep telling people it's not true, but I've mentioned it so many times. A lot of times, and it's a myth, a lot of times people say that the Associate of Applied Science, whether it's health or non-health, does not transfer. People, that is not true. That I want to make myself clear. This degree has transferability mechanisms in there, okay? It's limited in transferability because most universities, as you know, do not accept Associate of Applied Science, but now most of them are moving into the BA-SSS, the Bachelor's of Applied Science degrees that will transfer some of these courses to their degree, okay? They have BASs all over the country now. UTEP and MSU are working diligently to transfer some of our Associate of Applied Science courses. So it's a myth when people say this one doesn't transfer. You can only use it to work or to transfer to non-traditional universities. Not true, okay? As a matter of fact, many universities now are transferring a lot of these degrees because they see the value. They see the value on our degrees, especially like in the health. We've got to bridge people from our RN to UTEP to Texas Tech. It's a nursing bridge that you can do your RN here and then do your BSN. As a matter of fact, I just created I didn't, but I actually did a collaboration with Grand Canyon University, and they have an articulation agreement now that our RN has a schedule bridge transition to Grand Canyon University. Amazing stuff that's happening with our Associate of Applied Science degrees, okay? So, not true. Limited transferability, but doesn't transfer completely. And then, of course, we have certificates of completion, which are training level job certifications, okay? All right, questions so far? Everything's good? All right. All right, so specialized programs. Remember I was telling you that area that gets neglected a lot? Well, all advanced technology center degrees, ATC. A lot of the ones that I want to feature is some of the specialized ones that we have that we only offer regionally, people, okay? Regionally, our fire technology department, okay? Our whole fire technology discipline is awesome. I did fire since 2005. I handed it out to a counselor over there at Valle Verde, but our Fire Technology Academy, top notch. Health occupations, a lot of the health occupations and health science degrees we offer, they do not have them within ranges, within 100 to 200 mile ranges. We are the only ones that offer. Architecture, I don't know, raise your hand if you knew that we were the only ones here that offer an Associate of Arts and an Associate of Science and a Bachelor's of Science through EPCC. Through EPCC, people, in architecture, you can get a bachelor's degree. Very good, Sonia. From Texas Tech. Adrian, excellent, you knew that. So only one in this area that offers a Bachelor's of Science through Texas Tech here at EPCC. Our culinary arts, as you know, culinary arts, only one in the region that offers the three main pathways. Sign language, interpreting, amazing. ASL, American Sign Language. Court reporting, the only one that offers it online, people, housed at the Northwest Campus. And of course, a lot of continuing education courses that we offer that faculty staff have no clue that we offer those people. Okay, just a little glimpse of some of the specialized programs. Moving right along, people, health science, keep in mind, if they're going to major, if they come to you and say health science, make sure that you refer that student to or that person to our nursing counselors or health occupation counselors at the Rio Grande campus, or you can refer them if they're completely new to our counseling department or to our first year experience centers. Very important because they've got to undergo program prerequisites. Okay, it's specialized admissions. All right, people, moving right along. So the slide on ATC, like I was telling you, the main ones that we have: renewable energy, HVAC, industrial maintenance, electrical, machining, welding, diesel mechanic, and robotics. Very important that we start spreading the news. That this is old news, people. We've had ATC for a while now, that we offer all of these areas. Pretty important because sometimes if we don't have that knowledge, like I said in my second slide, you won't have the ability or the power to refer that student to the particular individuals that handle these ATC programs. The counseling department is versed in all of these. We've got counselors that specialize in these areas. All right, people. So this is the listing that I'm going to provide to you so that you can have access, direct access to all of the district-wide counselors and advisors district-wide so that you can contact them. This is including the Associate Vice President of Instruction and Student Success, which is the office of Dr. Paula Mitchell, but you have everything in one sheet. And then, of course, just to conclude, we've got about 5 minutes, and I'll leave about 2-3 minutes as far as questions. Make sure that you help students select the right degree and pathway. Extremely important, people, okay? I think that should be one of the models here at EPCC, choosing the right degree, choosing the right pathway from the beginning. And all of you can contribute to that. All of you can help. You're not going to believe it, people, but some students come in and they have no clue. Yes, They're very talented in getting their degree plan and in getting their degree audit through the computer, but they have no clue what the courses entail, what degree they have, where it's leading to, if it transfers, if it doesn't transfer, how long it's going to take. So let's all work together and make sure that you make that appropriate referral and check with the counselor, check with the advisor if you're in doubt. A lot of times, one of the things that we do is that we collaborate, right? We collaborate with each other. I know that we have a marvelous collaboration going on with the librarians at this point, in which we do the advising registration initiative. We advise students here at EPCC counseling, and then we refer them to our EPCC libraries district-wide so they can do the final registration and help them with registration so that it could have a seamless transition. But check with the counselor. I know that my phone's constantly ringing district-wide, especially here at Northwest, in which they're very proactive, and kudos to the library team over there at Northwest, because they're very proactive in calling me and saying, the student has a hold. The student is excellent. We don't want barriers, even though the institution does put some slight barriers for students to enroll. But let's kind of work together to minimize those barriers. Extremely important. And then the purpose of all this is for students to register on time, right? So we want them to register on time and then pay on time. Because a lot of times we're finding out that the registration is smooth, but guess what? Students forget to pay. And that's pretty important, people. If they don't pay, then they're back to square one. All right, they're back to registering again, finding classes, and sometimes, as you all know, and if you've helped students, as you all know, sometimes students end up getting classes and schedules that they do not want because they didn't pay, so the schedule is very limited. People, I've ran out of time. Thank you all very much for such a great time here with spending time with you here, talking about degrees. I'm probably going to do a bigger session during faculty development so that we can kind of dig deep into some of these degrees. But any questions at this point? I thank you very much for being here. I know 1 to 2 before spring break, right? Sounds good. All right.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? So one of my questions is, are we currently open to register for summer and fall right now?
No. Actually, Kristen, we are registering starting up March 23rd. That's an excellent question. So the registration is going to start for summer March 23rd because that's going to allow registration for our OCB partners. So Operation College Bound starts March 23rd. So everybody's going to be able to register at that point.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And my other question is, are you all operating on a walk-in basis appointments? I know you do also have virtual.
Both. Yes. So we do appointments and we do virtual. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for presenting today. We really do appreciate it, as you said on a Friday, at 1 o'clock right before spring break.
Right.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming. I know next week is spring break, so we won't have another one of our workshops next week. It will be on the 27th, which is going to be a presentation talking about credit card debt. So after spring break, that's a great topic to talk about. Don't forget that we also have that Tejano Passport program. We do have a link in the chat. I'm going to put it one more time. So that way you can click on there and you just log in and it gives you points. And then you can click, there's a link on there so you can see how many points you have. Because once you get 75 points, you can earn a silver medallion that you can wear at graduation. Or if you get 100 points, you can get a gold medallion. So every time you come to any type of Tejano virtual event, whether it's these workshops on Friday, you go to different places, there's venues around the city that you can go to, and you can also see a code there that you can scan. You get points for all of that. So during spring break, that would be something fun to do, is when you go to some of these places around town, there is a list on the Tejano passport site that does tell you where some of these locations are located. So I hope you all have a safe and relaxing spring break, and take care.